Hi everyone and welcome to my quick little guide on a new method for doing Zami God Wars solo. So, full disclaimer, I don't really do guides, so bear with me here, but this method aims to kind of rival Twisted Bow and Bowfer methods for soloing Zami. It is nice and simple, chill, great for soloing and very efficient. Compared to the other methods, I can't say which is faster for speed, but as far as things go, this method is much easier, lazier and more chill to pull off. So I think in general it may be more favourable to do in the future. As far as the gear requirements go, obviously you require the new Tumeken's shadow weapon, which is, essential for the method to make it work. The rest of the gear is fairly flexible. As you see, I have an iron, so I don't really have access to Ancestral just because I haven't done it yet, so the gear you can do is not too bad, but generally speaking, you just want to maximize your major attack bonus. Maybe you slip some prayer bonus in the future, but major attack is all that matters, really. In terms of defenses, you don't really need defense, but you want to avoid things with negative major attack because the weapon obviously triples your major attack, but it also triples any negative stuff as well. So you only want things with neutral or positive major attack for this method. As far as the imagery goes, this is the recommended imagery I have here, which is basically the runes for Ice Barrage and Blood Barrage, because you'll be using that to heal for this method and also freeze the boss, very essential. If for some reason you don't have access to 95 magic, then I guess you can also use Ice Burst and Blood Burst as well. That is a fine alternative. In terms of damage, you don't really take too much, but having a little bit of emergency food based on how comfortable you are is nice. We of course want as many prayer pots as possible, which is the limiting factor of the method, as well as some anti-poisons just in case that boss does poison you. And I also choose to bring this Master Wand here as well, just to auto cast Ancient Magics. That is personal preference, but doesn't make life easier. If you do that as well, obviously a Kodai, Ancient Staff, or any other weapon that can auto cast Ancients is absolutely fine to use as well. Enough for the boring stuff, let's get into the method itself. So the method is fairly straightforward in that we freeze the boss and then damage the boss. That is it. This works because the Tumeken's Shadow Staff does actually give us accuracy bonus to Ancient Magics, so freezing the boss is very easy. Although the Ancient Magics don't get the damage bonus from the staff, which means you still want to use the staff's auto cast to do most of your damage. As far as the details of the method, the important bit is to kind of what we pray, when we freeze, where we freeze, and things like that. So that is what I am going to cover now. So first of all, we'll be using Protect from Range for this method. That is because you have a respectable magic defense from the mage minion. The melee minion will be frozen quite often. The boss will do 0 damage, which mostly leaves the range minion. In addition to that, the range minion actually hits much harder than the other minions as well, so we use that for our protection prayer. As far as the details for the method go, the most important things are when, where and how you freeze the boss to kind of give yourself the best and most efficient way to do this. As you can see by the start of this clip, we start the kill in the northeast corner of the room. The reason we do it on this exact tile here is, firstly, the boss will start pathing northeast, getting himself nice into the corner of the room, so it kind of gives yourself the most room in the future. And secondly, is actually out of the aggro range of the mage minion, so for the start of the fight, you'll actually be taking 0 damage from this mage minion, which, just helps with that sustain. Once you hit the freeze on the boss, we can start DPSing it with that staff nicely to get stuck in there. If for some reason you don't hit the freeze, you can kind of skip ahead and see what happens after the boss unfreezes, but otherwise we keep DPSing the boss until he unfreezes, and once he unfreezes we kind of start to move around. As you can't freeze the boss immediately, you want to wait 5 ticks, so a nice way to do this is once you see the boss start moving, you move to the next tile yourself, and then as you see yourself move 4 times, you can freeze the boss at any part of that, and once it's frozen, you kind of repeat the cycle. The nice part about the second freeze is it actually freezes the melee minion at the same place as the boss, so at that point you'd only be taking damage from the mage minion if it has aggro G. Now, if the boss isn't dead after your second freeze next to the altar, because you splashed even though you have damage, then we just keep moving around to the next tile and we freeze again. If the boss still isn't dead, we can do one more freeze along the south wall in the very southwest corner. As you continue moving along the south wall, if you found you have frozen the boss past this second south wall tile marker, I would then recommend you position yourself towards the northwest corner of the room while you're DPSing the boss, and this way the boss will then continue towards the north wall and you can keep freezing again. You can then continue this process across the north wall, and that is the gist of it. At some point the boss will die and we can move on. Now, last thing I would talk about is the cleanup for the boss, which is nice and straightforward. So once the boss dies, you're going to go ahead and stand next to the range minion and pull the melee minion next to it. After you've done that, you can start blood barraging the boss to re-heal any damage you may have taken. If you are not damaged, you can just go ahead and use your staff, that's fine too. You may want to prayer flick at this time, which is the benefit of using like a master wand instead of the staff, but if you want to just use your staff, that's fine. If you do use your staff, you can actually stack with the mage minion as well, as the mage minion will not have the defense to overcome your staff, so you can blood barrage there, but otherwise just have fun, blood barrage the minions, re-heal up, and get ready for the next kill. Now, as for what you can expect to gain from this method, realistically you can do extremely long trips, 30, 40, 50, 100 kc. The only real limitation as to how long your trips last are, one, how well you conserve your prayers, so obviously your prayer gear, prayer flicking and all that jazz can extend your trips, as well as getting super restore drops from the boss. But besides that, you can basically go as long as needed with this method till you get what you want. So that's going to be it for my quick little Tumeken's Shadow Zami guide. Hope you guys did enjoy. As this is still only a few days after this stuff has released, I'm sure better methods or ideas will pop up, but if you guys have any thoughts, feedback, comments, please leave them down below. Any questions, I'll answer them, or just ways to generally improve the strategy. Let's get this as good as we can, because I honestly do think this is probably going to be the future of Zami God Wars, and probably a lot more God Wars bosses in the future. In the meantime, happy slaying, I hope you guys get your drops, and I hope I get mine too.